hi Scott here, let's have a little chat. A little chat about world economics, inflation. I'm not an economic expert, but I think we're all experts in knowing that our standard of living is changing, and there can be a lot of fear there. We can start thinking, well, what's going to happen to me? My job, my future, my family, and that's what this whole site is set up for. Because for 23 years I have lived that economy, a creative economy that's in you and it's in me, and we can live it together. So I want to be a voice of hope and faith and peace to let you know you don't need to listen to fear. Yes, it's going to be scary times. They're already scary times. Yes, there's going to be anxiety. Yes, you're going to have to fight depression. Yes, you're going to have to fight fear of tomorrow. But you know what? You don't have to fight that way. It's easy to enter a flow, to enter what is life and to live in that place. And get yourself into a community of like-minded people, not people that feed on the drama and feed on seeing, oh, this is happening now, that's happening now. Some people have said to me, it's so important to know what's going on. I'm like, no, it's not important to know what's going on. It's important to be the answer. You know what's going on if you let your energy go towards trying to discover more of what's happening and the offences, and it's going to suck the life out of you and stop you being the answer that you need to be for yourself and for your family. I want to be a voice to encourage you. Be aware, like me, I'm aware that drama's there. I'm aware that the world is falling apart in so many of these areas. But then I'm also coming and saying, now I am the answer for what's around my life. You are the answer for what's around your life. I choose to feed on life. I choose to be life and to walk peace. So we're going to talk some more on that, on how to be that. And, my book, which I don't have a copy here with me, but I'm out in the park. Vegetable Garden, Faith and a Corvette. It's on the site. If you need a copy of that, text me. I will put it up for free. I'm going to put it up on the site for free. Download it, read it, but understand that it's a journey from religious thinking into a creative flow of the spirit. And you will see the pain in that book of trying to change this thinking. What's the say? Change your stinking thinking. Get a checkup from the neck up. Well, my thinking had to transition from being religious. Every one of us has religious thinking. Mine may have been inside a religious organization. Your religious thinking may be in your business, maybe in your workplace, maybe in your family, where we follow formulas. Let's say it that way, the formula way. It's got to happen this way. Because what do formulas do? They give us control. And control ultimately gives us the illusion of safety and security. So it's that discovering in that book, the transition of letting go of control and letting that creative economy become who I am, not what I do. You can do it. You can do the same thing because it's already at work in you. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have got this far in the video. So download the book, have a bit of a look, buy the book, it's on Amazon, and see what comes out of you. It's a different perspective, but it may open up something for you. Don't be offended at the religious words in there, because again, it's a transition from a religious life from me into a spirit-filled life of freedom and the creative. So take a look. I encourage you, take a look at that book. I've just seen in the years I've done this, I want to give you a quick snapshot of my life. So the 23 years that I've lived this creative economy, it began with me trying to control it and trying to understand it. And my chicken story, you've probably all heard it by now. Went and bought little chicks. And the lady said, I've never raised chickens. And the lady said to me, bought 13 of them. She said, there'll be no roosters in there, I'm sure of it. I got 11 roosters. And I'm like, good night. She saw me coming. And now, chickens, that's important. We're going to even put some videos on here from people that have raised chickens and can give you understanding on how to do that. But in the United States, they call that prepping. And it's important to do a little bit of that, but to become a prepper is acting in fear. It's not acting in a creative flow of faith and peace. So, you can store food in your basement, but like you'll hear on the Venezuela video, they've been in hyperinflation for 20 years. You can't store 20 years worth of food. Mold can get in there, rust, the Bible talks about rust getting in and destroying things, and and moths eating it and floods, whatever, you know. So that's not the answer, but it's good to do some prepping. It is, it's good. But it's not your answer. You're the answer. And so when that creative flows in you, it's so easy to let fear get a hold of our head, and we want to take control. When you take control of your life, it pushes everybody away. You might have a great motive for it. I'm taking control because I know what's best and they need this. But the harder you control, the more you push away the things that matter to you. And I think it becomes a vicious cycle. So fear brings about control. Control brings about isolation. Isolation brings about pain. Pain brings fear. Fear brings control. Control brings isolation. And it's just a self-perpetuating cycle where you're looking and going, I'm trying to help my family, but they don't appreciate it. They don't understand it. And you're doing everything you can and you're trying to put things on people because you think you know best, and maybe you do. But it brings isolation suddenly. So we're going to talk about living that flow. Peace. And what I do is I come out to a place like this. When fear, the birds are wonderful, aren't they? When fear comes on me, there's something in all of us. There's something in you that is peace. Sorry, there's a little bird just on the table here. There's a peace in you. There's something that's telling you this is the way to go. But then our mind kicks in and says, but if I do that, this will happen. And if I do that, that'll happen. And we look at the pros, the cons, the pluses, the minuses. And before we know it, confusion reigns. And that happens to all of us. But ultimately, it suppresses what felt like peace. And I always say, follow the peace. When you're preparing for what your future is, when you're preparing for your financial, well-being in the future, follow the peace. Follow the peace. Some things won't make sense to you, and a lot of people talk it. They'll go to all their friends, well, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. Those people are not in your flow. Your flow is a creative beauty between you and your Creator. And it's I call it God romance. He's talking to you about the answers for your life, and they could be completely different to the answers for my life. But I want to encourage you, trust that. Trust that flow. Let that flow be who you are. It's God. It's God reaching out to you and giving you peace and security. I was talking to Brad, and Brad, you're probably watching this video from Wollongong, and bumped into him at a couple of the the Freedom Camp and one of the rallies here. Just such a blessing, because as he's talking about, he said, I don't even believe in God, Scott, but something's talking to me and I think it's God. He says, it's telling me truth, and every time I do that truth, things work out. I'm doing things for the well-being of my family. I'm doing things for the well-being of my neighbours because it's just in me. And I kept saying, that's it, brother. Follow the peace. Follow the peace. It doesn't make sense to your brain, but that's what we call koinonia in Greek, koinonia. Community, spiritual community. That's what we saw in these freedom camps, spiritual community where everyone was doing things for each other. It wasn't using each other. You are the answer. You have the answer. Yes, this world's going to have major troubles. Yes, there's going to be major, maybe, changes in your life and the people's lives around you. But the answer is right inside of you. You don't have to look out there. People have said to me, well, where do I invest? Do I invest in gold? And I said, well, no. You can invest in gold, but, after the Second World War, the US outlawed gold. They had to turn their gold in. People are like, how dare the government do that? Welcome to the world of government. How dare They'll do it. They'll do it because they'll say, we'll either take your gold or you won't have a country. Bitcoin, we're going to go to Bitcoin. Come on, it's regulated offshore. Bitcoin is not your answer, because let me tell you, if the government wants something, they'll find a way to get it. And there's no final solution answer to what to do, but it's a creative flow. And I like what Venezuela and the Brazil videos that are on there. Talk to some of those, as you listen to those podcasts and videos and you hear what those men are saying, different things are just going to resonate with you. They're going to drop into you and you go, yeah, I was thinking I should do that. Do it. Trust yourself. Trust that flow. Trust the flow of peace, because that's where your answer lies. Train yourself now to flow with peace, even when others don't understand it. Flow with peace, no matter where that takes you, because it's going to take you to safety and security for your family and those that matter to your life. And I tell you, in my life, there's been some pretty hard roads in that, where I didn't think I'd make it. But I'm here. And I know that as I've allowed that creative community and people that are open to that flow to be around my life, when I've had no strength to stand, they've stood for me. When I've had no strength to speak, they've spoken for me. You have people like that around your life. You're just going to make the decision whether or not you want to fellowship with those people or be with the ones that make all the noise. There's a lot of people making a lot of noise and pointing out all the faults. But, let's be ones that don't see problems. We see solutions. You are the solution. I see. You got this video because what I'm saying resonates with you. If you got this far, it resonates with you. Put some comments. Become part of the community and let's encourage one another. I don't mind. Ask me questions. While I can answer them, I will. And let's take that journey together. Let's do some practical things like, it's going to come up in some of you. Get out of non-essential services. Get out of things that are not essential. Pardon me. And start to build things around your life that are essential. Things like the ability to fix older cars, because people won't be able to afford brand new cars. The ability to train people how to do those things. Essential things. Come on, change your mindset. What's essential? It'll come to you in here. All of a sudden you'll look and say, well, I don't know what to do. I've never done business. I can't. Relax. Just take the first step. You don't need to see 10 steps up the line. Take the first step with the peace that's in you. It might be to go and do a course on fixing a car, to go and do a course on fixing appliances. Because in times of high inflation and economic stress, duress, people don't have the money to spend on new. They'll fix the old. Clothing, they'll hand it down. They'll hand it off to somebody else. And as they hand it off in the family or somewhere else. And so, but to be able to fix clothes, to be able to bake cakes, make soap, go online, learn how to make soap. Our family used to do it. So easily done. To make soap, things that you can barter. You say, well, I don't know what barter, it scares me to barter things. Well, no, the only time bartering is scary is when you're trying to abuse or use somebody. If you barter to bless, you'll never lose. You might get taken advantage of, but it'll only happen a couple of times. I'd rather be the one being taken advantage of than taking advantage of somebody. Because it's just the way it is. We used to give out food in Boston, and I remember that we weren't associated with doing it. We just wanted to bless people without saying this is coming from a church or an organisation. It was just like, here's food, come and get it. We had massive amounts of food. People used to turn up, and it was funny to watch. When they'd come in, they'd see all this food, and we'd say, take whatever you want. And we had like 50-pound sacks of rice. You can't eat that much rice. And they would be grabbing bags of it, and they'd be taking it away. And we just smile, because I knew there's no way they could eat that. And we used to say the only condition is you have to give it to your family and give it to your friends. Share the love. Get it out there. And the next week they'd come back. And as they come back, they'd be really polite. They'd just take a little bit, because they realised they had so much food. These birds, huh? It's wonderful. They're all singing the joys of life. So they would come and get a little bit of food, and then they would bring their neighbours who got the food. And it ended up being like a crowd of people that used to come. And they were feeding everybody, and it was just going everywhere. And we never met a lot of people that got the food. We never wanted to meet them. It was just his food, get it out. And it went out. And I tell you, you'll be abused at first. People who come along, you'll make mistakes at first. You'll try and barter, and you'll get taken advantage of. But you'll learn, and you'll get it right. Start to do it now, before it's essential. So you're an expert at it. Don't wait until this whole thing blows. Start to put thought processes and things in place now that you understand what bartering is. And start to build a network of people that are open to bartering. Plumbing. Somebody fixes a house, electrical. Things like that. People will do that themselves and they'll make a mess of it. But ultimately, they have to have those things. Essential services. You're not going to get the money you're getting now, Mr. Tradesman. It's not going to happen. You guys are coining it now. You're making so much money out of your trades, and that's not a bad thing. But I can tell you now, that's going away. And you're going to end up bartering. And the other thing what you need to do in times of high inflation is make it fast. Fast flips. So, start to become someone that buys today and gets rid of it the same day if you can. You're building a network of that. If you're a tradesman, then, you might be open to somebody swapping you a car for what they've done, but then you have somebody else who can flip that car for you, and the thing's gone quickly, because you're going to see Mercedes-Benz and Porsche and things like that basically on the side of the road. Nobody's going to want them. They can't afford to fix them. Now, if you don't believe it, listen to the video on Venezuela. We're no different. Venezuela is a wealthy country. They have oil, they have diamonds, they have gold. And what happens is the elites, 5,000 elites, I think he said, take most of that money, and the people that are on the street don't get it. And don't kid yourself. That's our countries too. You know full well that your politicians and our politicians, they're going to line their own pockets. And they're not going to care about what's happening down below. Think about this. When high inflation comes, the only answer the government has are socialist type programs to try to help. And I have a recording on there about that in Australia, how they'll use Centrelink, which is our welfare system, to own homes and to feed. And Venezuela was talking about that. They said the government workers were on $6,000 a month. I'm generalising on amounts. $6,000 a month. It's now the equivalent of $6 a month. We had 1 million government workers in Venezuela. He said now we have 6 million. The government gives you your $6 a month, and you get gift bags. And in those gift bags might have your toilet paper and things twice a month. It's a social system where they're trying to help everybody by spreading out the resources while the elite live high on the hog. It'll happen here. It's already happening. Sorry, my son called me. But so I just encourage you, prepare for that. Now, people talk about communes. Well, communes are the answer. Communes are not the answer, because in a commune, it's always, think about it, communes always implode, always. It's the spirit of community. It's the spirit of freedom. It's the spirit of life. That's where we live. And right now, you can prepare yourself to be in that, because it's already at work in you. I promise you. I know it's at work in you, because if it isn't, you wouldn't be listening to this video. If it isn't, as I'm talking to you, hope's in you. Something's coming up in you, like, well, yeah, live there. That's your answer. And as you live out of there, create. You're going to start to see ideas that you're going to be like, what? I just never thought of that. It makes so much sense. I'm going to do that. Now, people are going to be, oh, you're crazy. What are you doing that for? Do it. I'm telling you now, do it. Go with what you feel. Trust yourself. Trust the peace in you. Talk to God about it. God, help me. Well, I don't believe in God. Well, get over it, all right? You can be sitting there sucking your thumb with nothing around you saying, I don't believe in. But just don't believe in it, because that's a head knowledge. Feel it. Feel your God. He's speaking to you. He's loving you. He's romancing you. He's trying to be your answer. All of you have that. Sometimes you've said, I don't know, something's just telling me not to do that. Yeah, what's telling you not to do that? And I was talking to an artist recently where he said to me, I get that creative flow. And I said, yeah, well, that flow only comes, you can't do that all the time, can you? And he's like, no, I can't. Only when it's there. I said, yeah, that's right. The creative comes sometimes to create. You go with it. And that's what art is. Every artist, every musician understands that. Every businessman, every entrepreneur understands that. When it's there, you go with it. When it's not there, that's when you're like, ooh, what do I do now? And I'm just encouraging you, go with your creative flow. Go with it. Because where does that come from? That's the divine. If it came from you, you would have that happening all the time. But it comes in bursts because it's a divine flow that's coming to you to romance you and to say, I love you. I love you, and we are an answer together to this world. So I want to leave you with that. It's a lot to think about. We got lots more to talk about. I'm going to put up probably lots more videos. I'm getting sick of looking at my own face, but I want to be personal with you. I want you to understand. We could have a video that chops and changes and does all the crazy entertainment stuff. I'm not about that. I'm about being real. And I hope you can hear my heart. I hope you can hear my spirit when I say to you, there's hope. There's hope. We're in it together. We're in it together. Let's live it. God bless you. May the Spirit of the Lord, the Holy Spirit, give you peace and life to know that in the end we win.